Thanks, Ryan. Now to a story that'll really get you thinking. A family in Port aux Basques has been divided by the Department of Child, Youth and Family Service. Now, this isn't a story of abuse or neglect. It's a complicated case that seems to boil down to a couple of issues, including how smart you have to be a parent. Here and Now's Paul Pigott reports.
A little girl's room and an unopened Christmas gift on the pillow. Another room, this time the boys, another unopened gift. Reminders of a missed Christmas and 2 missed birthdays. 2 children caught up in a web of bureaucracy with no way home. The government says their parents aren't smart enough to look after them. Mom and dad are fighting back.
It's pitiful. It's a crime because I've never done nothing wrong.
Bobby Rogers drives a truck for the hardware store in Port aux Basques. His boss says he's one of his best workers. Dorothy Rogers is a stay-at-home mom. One of her children has special needs. She missed an appointment and social workers felt she wasn't dealing with the child's problems. That's when social workers and the police came to the house to remove both children.
She said, your kids is going into another foster home today. And it just knocked the good out of me. When I came out of the room from seeing my kids, that I'd see all their clothes and belongings on the floor, it just broke my heart.
The plan was to cooperate and get their kids back in 3 months. Instead, things got worse. First, the kids were moved into one, then another foster home in Stephenville, an hour and a half away. Then the parents were ordered to do a parental assessment. This report is now being used to try to take the kids away for good. It says Mr. and Mrs. Rogers' cognitive levels suggest that they will have significant challenges in parenting.
I always thought is you love them, you care for them, you give them what they need. That was everything in a parent. Education, not everybody is scholars.
The test says she's at a grade 6 academic level. He's at grade 4. But that doesn't make sense because they both have graduated high school, both have college diplomas.
They got me labeled as saying that I'm mentally challenged, I'm delayed. It's not right.
The children's grandmother says the parents didn't do well on the test because they were nervous and upset. She's offering to help them deal with their son's special needs, and she insists the children aren't at risk by being at home.
If there was mentally and physically abuse going on here in the home, and I spend a lot of time here with my grandchildren, that I would have reported it myself.
The assessment is clear. There's no allegation of abuse, no allegation of neglect. The question is about the parents' intelligence. But they say that's no reason to break up their family.
Because my kids do not deserve this. They are torn apart from their mother. And they want us to come home. And I want my kids home. They're torn apart from 2 loving parents.
After CBC News called, the Minister of Child, Youth and Family Services had officials review the file. Charlene Johnson says the workers involved have made decisions in the best interest of the children.
The next step for the Rogers family is a court date, possibly as soon as February. They'll try to convince a judge that love is more important than learning. Paul Pigott, CBC News, Port aux Basques.
The Minister of Child, Youth and Family Services is Charlene Johnson, and she joins us now live. Well, Minister Johnston, you're not prepared to talk about the Rogers case specifically, but is it really possible for parents to lose their kids because they're deemed not to be smart enough?
Well, Debbie, the entire risk assessment process, which is done by professional social workers in the department, includes a variety of factors. Social workers would look at physical, emotional, cognitive issues, and if at any point we ask for further assessment, that can be done as an independent assessment as well. So there's a whole host of factors that social workers look at, and it's only a last case resort that a child is removed from the home. We currently have 8,800 cases on our caseload at this moment, and 90% of those cases we deal with children while still remaining in the home, and that may be an anger management course or a parenting course. There's less than 10% of the children on our caseload that are actually removed from the home, and this certainly isn't taken lightly. A social worker does a clinical assessment that's reviewed by a manager, it's reviewed by a director, and of course then you go to an independent body, which is the court system, where a court order has to be issued.
Is that done in every single case when children are removed from the home?
Yes, in every single case we have to get a court order from a judge, and it is reviewed by various levels within the department. And the focus is always about returning the child back to the home, but you have to remember our focus in the Department of Child, Youth and Family Service is strictly about the child and what's in the best interest of the child. And if there is a concern for that child's safety or potential risk for the child, then only then is the child removed from the home, which is less than 10% of the cases that we carry.
You have just repeated what your department often says, that keeping families together is a prime goal of yours. So is this evidence that the department is failing when children have to be removed?
Well, Debbie, again, I don't speak to particular cases, but there is a great level of scrutiny that goes through with initially the social worker, the manager, the director, and of course the judge, as I said. We also have an inquiries coordinator in my department where if there are any complaints or issues that are raised, I would certainly have that person look into the case, as I did in this particular case, and I'm satisfied that all the actions that were taken were proper in this particular case.
So it was the right call in your view?
And it has to be about the child and the child's safety and the protection of the child. So in the professional opinion of 6 or 7 social workers that have reviewed this file and a judge, the right decision has been made.
Is this the end of the line for the Rogers family? Is there any other appeal that can be made?
Well, we always work with the family in terms of trying to return the children to the home. And of course, again, without speaking to specifics, there are other processes where we can go to court, or if there's a satisfactory arrangement that can be made and the proper, you know, the one part of doing the further assessment is to see if we can help the parent in helping the children. That's what our aim always is to return the child to the home, and that's what our final goal will be, if it will be a safe circumstance for that child.
Minister Charlene Johnson, thank you very much for joining us live on Here and Now.
You're very welcome, Debbie.